You're 19, swinging a 16-pound sledgehammer through a drywall partition in a gutted strip mall, and the powder hits the back of your throat before the dust mask finishes sealing. 27 years later, a lawyer slides a wire confirmation across a conference table for $14.2 million for a company you started with a borrowed pickup and a crowbar. Between those two moments sits an $11.2 billion industry, where the single most cited federal violation is a building falling down before anyone planned it to, and where one family in Maryland has spent 3 generations betting everything on a number, the second the dynamite fires, and nobody can call it back. This is how far you can go owning a demolition company, and what it actually costs to get there. If you like breakdowns of how businesses actually get built, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Stage 1. The Sledgehammer. You're 19. You borrowed your uncle's Tacoma, bought a 16-pound sledge, a flat bar, and a box of Contractor bags from Home Depot for $140, and you put a flyer on Craigslist that says, "Interior demo, cheap, fast." The first job is a flooded basement rec room, drywall, 2 layers, soaked through. You swing the sledge into the seam at chest height, and the powder cloud hangs in the air for a full minute before it settles on your forearms. You haul the debris out in Contractor bags, 15 trips up a narrow staircase, and the homeowner pays you $400 cash. You learn fast that demolition isn't destruction, it's subtraction in the right order. Pull the cabinets before the wall, cap the electrical before you touch the stud. You strip a kitchen down to the studs in a day, and the contractor who hired you, a guy named Pete who's been flipping houses since before the crash, tells you the trade pays better than carpentry because nobody else wants to do it. You believe him for about a week until you hit a wall with knob and tube wiring still hot behind the plaster, and the breaker trips and your hands are numb for an hour. Nationally, there are 4,772 demolition and wrecking businesses in the United States, doing a combined $11.2 billion a year, and you are now, technically, one of them. You don't have an LLC, you don't have insurance, you have a sledgehammer and a phone number people text at 11 p.m. You're 23. You financed a used Bobcat skid steer with a hydraulic breaker attachment for $34,000, 15% down, and the payment is $740 a month whether you work or not. You register an LLC, buy general liability insurance for $2,800 a year, and apply for a state demolition contractor license, which means a background check, a bond, and a written exam on OSHA's Subpart T regulations that you fail on the first attempt because you've never heard the phrase engineering survey before. You learn it the hard way 3 weeks later. A 2-car detached garage, slab and block, looks simple from the street. You don't walk the structure first. The breaker chews into the rear wall, and the roof truss above it drops 8 inches without warning. No collapse, just a sudden sag that puts you on your back in the dirt with your ears ringing. OSHA's own data says the preparatory operations standard, the rule requiring a structural survey before you touch anything, accounts for roughly 3/4 of every citation written on a demolition site in America. You weren't cited. You were lucky. You buy a tape measure and a notepad the next morning and start sketching every structure before the machine moves. You hire your first guy, Danny, $19 an hour, and the two of you run 2 to 3 residential teardowns a week. Garages, sheds, the occasional gutted house before a rebuild. You gross $210,000 that year. After the Bobcat payment, fuel, dump fees, and Danny's check, you net about $61,000, except that number doesn't pay you for the 60 hours a week you're still swinging the hammer yourself, unpaid, on every job. Strip out a real wage for your own labor, and the margin underneath the business isn't 29%, it's barely there. You start to understand that the machine is not the business. The dumpster account is the business. Every load you haul to the landfill costs $85 to $140 depending on weight, and the guys who go broke in this trade are the ones who forget to bill for the truck that hauls the building away after you've already knocked it down. You're 27. 5 guys in Tyvek suits, full-face respirators, white against the dark of a gutted bank branch. Nobody's swinging a sledge today. The building department flagged the ceiling tile on the walkthrough, and now your whole crew moves slow, deliberate. bagging contaminated material before anyone touches a wall. You learn the rule the trade teaches everyone eventually. Nothing built before 1980 gets hit until it's been inspected. No exceptions, no shortcuts, no matter how badly the client wants the dumpster moving by Friday. You skip that rule once. One small job, a back-office strip-out, client pushing on price, and you wave your guys in without waiting on the asbestos survey. An inspector shows up 4 days later on a tip. 11 days shut down. A $4,000 inspection you skipped turns into a $31,000 remediation bill and a mark on your contractor's license that doesn't come off. Your insurance premium jumps to $14,000 a year. You finally sit down and do the math you should have done from day one. A healthy demolition operation nets 14 to 15% after every cost on the books. You're at 9%. You've been hauling buildings away for less than it costs to haul them. The same trap that kills lawn care owners and tow truck owners and every small operator who prices off the last guy's quote instead of their own numbers. Then the phone rings. A general contractor needs a 4-story motel gutted to the steel frame in 6 weeks ahead of a hotel conversion. $340,000, your biggest contract by 400%. You don't own a machine that can reach a 4th floor. You either rent one or you finally buy. You're 32. You sign for a Cat 340 UHD, the ultra-high demolition excavator, the one that reaches 8 stories with a shear or a hydraulic hammer on the end of its boom. List price new, $443,382. You don't pay that. You find a 2021 model, 4,100 hours, for $260,000. 10% down, 8.4% over 5 years, $4,790 a month, whether you work or not. The first time you sit in that cab and bite the shear through a concrete spandrel beam 4 stories up, dust and rebar dropping in a controlled column to a pile your spotter already cleared, you understand why people call this the most expensive form of demolition you can still do without explosives. You win the motel job. You win 3 more like it the following year. 2 old strip malls and a vacant grocery store. Full structural teardowns this time, not just interiors. The engineering survey OSHA requires becomes a real document now. Stamped by a structural engineer you pay $1,800 a job to walk the building and tell you which walls are load-bearing and which sequence won't bring the thing down on your machine. You learn to read a building the way the engineer does, top down, load path first, because the day you don't is the day a wall you thought was decorative turns out to be holding up the roof. You're running 14 employees, 3 machines, and you gross $2.1 million. Construction and extraction work killed 1,032 people in America in 2024, and demolition sits inside the highest risk slice of that number. Falls, struck by, caught in between, the same 4 hazards that account for 60% of every construction death in the country. You install fall protection on every elevated platform. You run a morning briefing before the machine starts, and you still lose 3 days of sleep the week a piece of column kicks sideways on a teardown and misses your spotter by 4 feet. He quits 2 weeks later. You don't blame him. A municipal contract crosses your desk that fall. A condemned parking structure the city wants down inside a school zone. Tight clearances, noise ordinances, a hard deadline. You win the bid at $890,000, your biggest yet, and you realize the next ceiling in this trade isn't a bigger machine. It's the thing you've been avoiding since you started: explosives. You're 38. You spend $1,250 on a 2-day blaster boot camp, log a year as a powder carrier under a licensed blaster, and apply for your federal explosives license through the ATF's Federal Explosives Licensing Center. 90 days of background checks on every responsible person in your company before clearance comes through. Your state blasting bond runs $20,000 minimum, on top of $1 million in liability coverage the bonding company won't even quote you until they see the federal paperwork. You join the National Demolition Association the same month, mostly because every blaster you respect in this trade is already a member. You think about the Loiseau family the whole time you're studying. 3 generations. Controlled Demolition Incorporated, founded in 1947 out of Maryland, and by their own count, they've brought down more than 5,000 structures, including the Seattle Kingdome in 1998, at the time the largest structure ever demolished by volume using explosives, 90 feet from a stadium under construction, without cracking its foundation. They've imploded the Sands and the Tropicana in Las Vegas, casinos folding into their own footprints on live television, fireworks timed to the detonation sequence. In their company's history, by their own account, only 2 people have ever been injured during one of their implosions, and both had crossed the safety line they'd already drawn. Your first implosion contract is small by comparison, a 6-story office building, condemned. 3 sides boxed in by buildings still standing, still occupied, still yours to protect if anything goes wrong. 11 days drilling shot holes into load-bearing columns, charges packed by hand, 1 column at a time. Det cord run column to column, wired into a delay sequencer timed in milliseconds, low floor to high, inward, down, into its own footprint. Anything else, and you've just thrown a 6-story building sideways into a building full of people. You evacuate 4 blocks. You stand behind the police line. The detonator is in someone else's hands, and somehow that's worse than holding it yourself. 7:14 a.m. A horn sounds 3 times. Silence. Then the charges fire, low to high, and the building doesn't fall. It kneels. 9 seconds. Then it's gone, and the only thing still standing in the dust is everyone who came to watch. Nobody is hurt. You did the math 3 times in 3 different rooms before that morning. Standing there, you understand exactly why blasters in this trade get superstitious about the seconds between the trigger and the silence. You charge $1.4 million for that job. You clear $310,000 after every cost on the books. You're 46. 60 employees, 4 crews, your own asbestos division now instead of subcontracting it out. A blasting team licensed in 3 states. $17.1 million a year, 16% EBITDA margin, $5.8 million in backlog most quarters. A regional player calls in March, the way they always do, quietly rolling up smaller demolition firms the way Priestley Demolition picked up Green City out of Cincinnati a few years back. Your banker lands the offer at 5.2 times EBITDA, $2.74 million on the trailing year, $290 in add-backs they won't accepting, a number that drops before it climbs back. You sign in October at $14.2 million, 70% cash, 20% rollover, 10% earnout over 2 years. The wire lands on a Tuesday. 9 days later, you're standing on a job site that isn't yours anymore, watching a kid who can't be older than 20 swing a sledgehammer through a partition wall in a gutted retail unit. Dust hangs in the air the way it hung around your own forearms the first time, 27 years ago, in a flooded basement that paid you $400 cash. He doesn't look up. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't know the company whose logo is about to go on his hard hat started with a borrowed Tacoma and a flat bar. You drive home. The sledgehammer from that first job still sits in your garage, the handle replaced twice, the head still good. You don't sell it. Some things you knock down, and some things you keep standing.